Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Thursday, September the 12th. Let's throw up the field for race number 7 at Woodbine. We're going 7.5 furlongs, two-turn race over the inner turf course. This race is for fillies and mares. It's a 3-life or an Ontario sired allowance. Pretty solid field in here, Mike. We've got 9 entered, including your morning line favorite, the number 6, Silent Sky. Beaten favorite in her last 2 races, and she had a good setup last time.
She certainly didn't have any real excuse that I could see last time, Dan. And she, listen, it's fair to say she settles for second pretty often, which is something to concern yourself with. I thought that the 2 favorites in this race, there was enough not to like about them to sort of want to dig a little bit deeper here.
Let's throw up the Timeform U.S. pace projector. Again, 2-turn, 7.5 furlong race. The number 2, Happy Valentine, stretching out off several 6 furlong races on the synthetic, should show some speed. The number 4, Olympic Fencer, the blinkers come back on. Another horse stretching out in distance. I think her best chance is if she's forward.
Yeah, I agree. I won't argue too hard with this pace projector. And I guess, just alluding, back to that morning line favorite in this race, one of the things to really like about her is that she has great tactical speed.
The 9, Foxy Diva, has the LP flag over her chiclet. That indicates she has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. We'll start things off with the 1, Seattle Causeway, who could be part of the pace. Here's her most recent start, going 1 mile and a 16th on the synthetic. They dropped her in for 7,500 and a non-winners at 2 life. She went to the front and she made him pay. Now back up in class and switches surfaces.
Yeah, I mean, she wins this race for fun, but it's a low level claiming race on a different surface, and now they're moving her up into a way tougher spot. She has finished first in a turf race before, so I guess she has that going for her. But ultimately, it just seems like her races on the all weather are just way better than her turf performances.
Happy Valentine, the number 2, 3-1 on the morning line, probably because she's taking a substantial drop in class as she makes her second start off of a lengthy layoff. Last time out, she was in a second level allowance race going 3/4 of a mile. The third place finisher came back to run second at the similar level with a 79 buyer speed figure. She's tagged for the first time for a very good outfit, should show speed, but there are question marks, distance and turf notably.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, listen, that 1 turf star came in an open stakes race right off of a maiden win as a 2-year-old. I mean, she didn't run well that day. I didn't want to really be too hard on her for it. I do wish there was a little more turf pedigree, Dan. I mean, if you go to the second generation, there's turf there. So, I mean, maybe it'll be enough. I'm not going to be surprised when she runs well in here. I think this is a good spot for her. I also didn't feel like I needed to take 3-1 on this horse.
Blameless Ghost, the number 3, makes her second start off with a claim. This will be her first race around 2 turns. She's been campaigning on the E.P. Taylor turf course sprinting. Last time out, going 6.5 off the claim. She faced a decent enough group, finishing ahead of a horse that came back to place with a 62 buyer and a condition claimer on the synthetic. I think she needs a little bit of a buyer boost, but she does have upside.
Yeah, she's lightly raised. I think the drawbacks for her, first of all, she didn't run well last time in her first start off the claim. So that sort of bothers me. She had a perfectly clean trip in there and a look at it in the stretch, and she just didn't really do that much running, I didn't think. But I mean, she's got such a big pedigree behind her too, Dan, and she's in for 40 in her 4th lifetime start. She sold for 26,000 cents. I mean, I don't know. It feels like there's something wrong with this horse. She's really well bred, and at a big price, I could try to get her in there somewhere, but I just wish I liked her races a little more.
Olympic Fencer, the number 4, is only 2 for 30 lifetime, but I think she's an interesting, at least from a pace perspective, and she's repeating the second off a lengthy layoff angle that resulted in her win sprinting over the synthetic last year. Her last start, they took the blinkers off. It was her first race off a long layoff. She chased a fast pace. She tired. She likely gained fitness from that race. The blinkers come on, and she's shown speed with blinks in the past.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I suppose they'll just come out of there running and try to make the lead and see what happens. Personally, I don't like her races enough to be interested no matter what kind of price she is.
Runner-up from her last race came back to place at this level on turf with a 73 buyer. The 5 is Allure. This horse might be racing herself back into shape. Third start following a lengthy layoff. Don't really love the 2 races off of the bench, but if you just want to simply say the first one she needed off the layoff, fine. The second one she fell a little bit far behind over a wet turf course, fine. I needed her to run better last time.
I kind of agree with you. She did get bumped at the start. It was less than firm turf. It was a race that was just sort of dominated up close in there. I'm with you. I wanted to see her run a little bit more in there. But then you start looking at her races from last year, and maybe she is just racing herself back into shape there, because her turf form last year, it was good. And any one of those races are going to give her a real chance in here. She has enough tactical speed to get a better trip, or at least to be more forward than she was last time. I don't know, man. She's third off the layup. She's 12-1 on the morning line, and I thought she was really interesting.
The 6 and the 7 come out of a similar race. We'll start things off with the 6, Silent Sky, beaten favorite in her last 2, 6 times second from 13 starts. She's very consistent, and she was wired in this race. 4570 is coming from off of the pace, finishing third, and she's finishing with a lot of interest. Silent Sky, all in all, got a good trip in behind this leader, eases out into the stretch, and just barely holds 4570 for the place.
Yeah, she just didn't run that well in here. And listen, did the winner have a better trip than she did? Yeah. But this horse had a perfect trip in this race. She makes no ground through the stretch, and she almost gets nailed for second by a horse who's back in here. I don't know, man. She's the morning line favorite. I get it. There's probably another really good trip coming for her in here. I didn't want to bet her as the favorite.
Allure, of course, was in that race as well and finished 6th. The 5th place finisher did come back to win a 40,000. Now winners a 3-life optional with a 74 buyer. 4570, I think, might have been up against it from a race flow standpoint. You mentioned that race was dominated by speed. They basically ran 1-2 around the track and were saving ground for most of the race. 4570 had to go outside while rallying from off of it. And this is a horse that ran really well when third in the Woodbine Oaks last year on synthetic at a gigantic price. So she's got some ability, and she might be sort of a hidden price at 6-1 on the line.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of price you're going to get on her, because she was almost, she was over 6-1 last time in that race we just watched, and I don't think it would be that difficult to argue that she ran the best race that day, and certainly ran the second best race, because she almost got there over Silent Sky, who had a perfect trip. I mean, I wanted to split the difference between her and Allure out of that race. I really didn't want Silent Sky. I think my position was just that Allure to me has more room to improve, I think, than this horse does. I just want to see this horse do it again. She ran really well last time.
Curlin Kitten is the number 8, and she's coming into this race in very sharp form, but you have to wonder if she was dressed up by race flow last time out. It was a closer's race. It was a fast-paced race. They went the second quarter, a contested second quarter up front in 23 flat. She's settled near the back of the pack. She bulls her way out, and once she runs in the stretch, she really isn't under much urging to get the job done with a career-best 72 buyer speed figure. But she did get the right race flow, and these are weaker horses.
Yeah, it's an easy win. It's also a class drop into a really good spot for her here, and the race just set up perfectly for her. I like the way that she looked winning it, Dan, and she did move forward slightly, but she moved forward slightly with a lot of things going in her direction in that race that sort of led to that victory. I think we'll see. She's up in class. I think this is a way tougher race, and she's not going to be much price.
Talk about a horse that had everything go her own way last time out. That's the 9, Foxy Diva, who also won from off the pace in a conditioned claimer. Let's watch Foxy Diva. It's worth noting that the co-favorite in this race missed the break by about 5 lengths, then made a rushing bid down the backstretch to contest the pace. She was eliminated by the way the race was run, and Foxy Diva wasn't, because she got pace, she was able to get a good ground-saving trip, and she pulls away.
Perfect trip, wins this race for fun, looks good doing it too. And just another, I think this is sort of a typical race that you can expect from her. I don't think she's going to be able to run any better than that. She's up in class for this. She's going to need some help again, I think, if she's going to go back to back in this race. That was a good performance, and she's fine. I have no real argument with her, and she's 10-1 on the morning line.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Thursday race of the day. You're going with Allure. Third start of the form cycle for Mark Casse. Might get a better race flow here.
Yeah, hoping this race sets up a little better for her. I was sort of torn between her and the 7 in this race, Dan. And I feel like Allure has a little bit more chance to improve. She's going to be a better price.
Like you, I think that Silent Sky is a somewhat beatable favorite. I expect her to run her usual consistent race, but I just don't want her at a short price. I'm curious to see what we get from Curlin Kitten, because she has to prove herself at this advanced level, but I did like the way she won last time out. I need more than the 7-2 morning line odds, however. 8647 for me, 5723 for Mike. It's race 7 at Woodbine, your DRF race of the day for Thursday, September the 12th. Good luck.